My mom's nurse called me at 3:12 a.m. She said 7 words. "She has been calling your name all night." I was in my car in 4 minutes. My brother had told everyone I had left the state. He had no idea I was coming. And when I opened that door, everything he had been hiding came apart. Drop your city name in the comments right now and subscribe, because what I found inside that room changed everything. My name, Callie Merritt. I am 34 years old, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to tell you about my mother. Her name is June Merritt. She is 68 years old, and she has lived in the same house in Knoxville her entire adult life. A small white house on Sycamore Lane with a garden she has tended for 40 years and a porch swing that has needed a new chain since approximately 2019, and that she has never gotten around to fixing because she says the squeak gives it character. My mother is the kind of woman who remembers every birthday without writing anything down, who makes soup when neighbors are sick, who has never once in my memory said a cruel word about anyone. Not because she is naive, but because she has decided that cruelty is a waste of her time. She had a stroke 14 months ago. Not catastrophic. She survived. She recovered significantly, but enough to change things. Her left side was weakened. Her speech slowed. She needed help that she was not comfortable asking for, and that my brother had volunteered to organize. My brother, Garrett Merritt, 3 years older than me, lives in Knoxville, 15 minutes from my mother's house. He had positioned himself, after the stroke, as the one in charge, the decision maker, the one who knew what was best. I lived 2 hours away in Nashville. I worked full-time. I visited every 3 weeks, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on my schedule. Garrett had made it clear, in the careful way of someone who wants to say something without being accountable for saying it, that my visits were disruptive, that my mother needed routine, that 2 hours away was essentially the same as not being there. I had pushed back, quietly, consistently. And then, 3 months ago, Garrett told my mother's care coordinator that I had relocated to Seattle for work. I had not relocated anywhere. I was still in Nashville, still 2 hours away, still visiting every 3 weeks. But nobody in my mother's care network knew that, because my brother had told them I was gone. Let me tell you what the 14 months after my mother's stroke actually looked like. The first month, I drove to Knoxville every weekend. No exceptions. I stayed in my mother's house, helped with her physical therapy exercises, made her meals, sat with her on the porch swing that squeaked, and watched the garden together. Garrett came by occasionally. He was busy. Work, his wife Dana, their 2 kids. I understood that. I did not hold it against him. What I started to hold against him, slowly, reluctantly, over the following months, was the way he positioned himself. He had become the point of contact for everything. Her doctor's office called him first. Her physical therapist updated him. The home care agency, which provided a nurse named Patricia who came 3 mornings a week, reported to him. I had asked early on to be included in those communications. Garrett had said he would handle it. I had asked again. Garrett had said I was making things complicated. I had asked a 3rd time, in writing, in an email, which I had kept, and Garrett had said that he was doing what was best for Mom, and that constant input from multiple directions was confusing for her recovery. I had stopped asking, but I had not stopped visiting, and I had not stopped talking to my mother directly. She called me every Sunday, sometimes twice on Sundays. She asked about my week and told me about her garden and complained affectionately about the physical therapist who made her do exercises she found undignified. She never mentioned that Garrett had told anyone I had left. I do not think she knew. I found out from Patricia, the nurse, who called me at 3:12 a.m. on a Tuesday in March.
Have you ever been pushed out of a family situation by someone who claimed they were just trying to help? Drop your experience below. I read every comment.
My phone lit up at 3:12 a.m. unknown number. I almost did not answer. I answered on the 4th ring. Is this Callie Merritt? A woman's voice, calm but urgent, the particular calm of someone trained to deliver difficult information without causing additional panic. "Yes," I said. "This is Patricia. I am the overnight nurse for your mother, June." I sat up immediately. "Is she okay?" I said. "She is stable," Patricia said, "but she has been very restless tonight, agitated. She has been calling your name for the past 2 hours. She keeps asking for you, specifically." I was already getting out of bed. "I thought you should know," Patricia said. "I tried your brother first, but he did not answer. I found your number in your mother's personal address book, the paper one she keeps in her nightstand drawer." I stopped. "Her address book," I said. "Yes," Patricia said. "She pointed me to it herself. She was very clear about wanting me to call you." I thought about that for a moment. My mother, 68 years old, left side weakened from a stroke, in the middle of the night, pointing her nurse to a paper address book in her nightstand drawer to make sure I got called. "I'll be there in 2 hours," I said. "I thought you were in Seattle," Patricia said. "I'm in Nashville," I said. "I have never been in Seattle." A pause. "Oh," Patricia said quietly. One syllable, but I heard everything in it. I drove to Knoxville in 1 hour and 47 minutes. I did not call Garrett. I know that might sound calculated, and maybe it was, a little, but mostly it was simpler than that. My mother had called for me. Her nurse had called me. I was going to my mother. Garrett's awareness of my arrival was not a factor in that decision. It was 5 a.m. when I turned onto Sycamore Lane. The house was lit, porch light on, a lamp visible through the front window. Patricia had left the door unlocked for me. I walked in quietly. The house smelled exactly as it always had. The particular combination of my mother's hand lotion and the cedar sachets she kept in the linen closet, and something indefinably home that I have never been able to name, but that hits me every time I walk through that door. Patricia was in the kitchen. She stood up when she saw me. She was a woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and the particular expression of someone who had pieced something together recently and was deciding how much to say. "She just fell asleep 20 minutes ago," Patricia said quietly. "She finally settled when I told her I'd called you." "You told her you called me," I said. "I did not tell her you were coming," Patricia said. "I just told her I had reached you." She calmed down almost immediately. I sat down at my mother's kitchen table. "Patricia," I said, "how long have you believed I was in Seattle?" She sat down across from me. 3 months, she said. "Your brother told the agency. It was noted in your mother's file. Non-local family member. Emergency contact updated." "He updated her emergency contact," I said. "To himself only," Patricia said. "Yes." I sat with that for a moment. "Has my mother ever mentioned me?" I said. "In the past 3 months." Patricia looked at her hands. "Every session," she said quietly. "She asks about you every single time I come. She says you call on Sundays. She talks about your visits." "And nobody thought to question the Seattle story," I said. "We had no reason to," Patricia said. "He is her son. He is the primary contact. We trusted what he told us." I nodded. "Thank you for calling me," I said. "I called because she asked for you," Patricia said. "I will always call when a patient asks for someone by name in the night." I looked at the kitchen. My mother's kitchen. The same table where she had helped me with homework. The same window with the garden visible beyond it, dark now in the early morning. "I am going to sit with her," I said. Patricia nodded. "I'll be in the next room," she said. "If someone tried to cut you off from a family member you loved, what would you do? Tell me in the comments." My mother was asleep in her bedroom. The room was dim, a small lamp on the nightstand casting warm light. She looked smaller than I remembered, which happened every time I saw her after a gap, and which I never fully got used to. Her paper address book was on the nightstand, open to the M section. My name, my number, written in her handwriting. I sat in the chair beside her bed. I did not wake her. I just sat. And I thought about her in the night, restless, agitated, calling my name, and then calming down the moment Patricia told her I had been reached. She had known where I was. She had known how to find me. Even when someone had worked very hard to make sure everyone else believed I was unreachable, she had kept my number in a paper address book in her nightstand drawer, and she had pointed her nurse to it at 3 a.m. My mother, who has never said a cruel word about anyone, who tends a garden that has needed a new chain on the porch swing since 2019, who knew exactly what she was doing. She woke up at 6:30. She turned her head. She saw me. And she smiled the full, completely unguarded smile of someone whose face has not yet remembered that it is supposed to be composed. "You came," she said. "Of course I came," I said. "Garrett said." "I know what Garrett said," I said. "I'm here." She reached for my hand. I gave it to her. We sat like that for a long time without saying anything else. Sometimes that is enough. Garrett arrived at 9:30. I heard his car in the driveway. My mother was in the kitchen by then, up, dressed, eating the oatmeal I had made. Patricia had gone home at 7, her shift ended. It was just the two of us. I heard Garrett's key in the lock. I heard him stop in the hallway. I heard him say, very quietly, one word. "Kelly." I turned around. He was standing in the kitchen doorway. He looked at me. He looked at our mother. He looked at me again. "I thought you were in Nashville," he said. "I am in Nashville," I said. "I have always been in Nashville." A long silence. "Patricia called you," he said. "Mom pointed her to an address book," I said. He looked at our mother. She was eating her oatmeal. She did not look up. "I can explain," he started. "I would like you to try," I said. What followed was not a screaming match. We are not that kind of family. We are the kind that handles things in low voices with long silences between sentences, which is in some ways worse. Garrett's explanation was this. He had been worried. About me. About my inconsistency. About the fact that I lived 2 hours away and visited every 3 weeks, which was not, in his view, sufficient. He had been frustrated that decisions were being complicated by input from someone who was not present day to day. He had thought, and this was the part where his voice went quieter, that if the care team believed I was out of state, the process would be simpler. "Simpler for who?" I said. He did not answer. "Mom called for me last night," I said. "For 2 hours. She called my name for 2 hours and nobody could reach me because you told them I was in Seattle." He looked at the table. "What if something had happened?" I said. "What if it had been serious? What if she had needed me and nobody could find me because you had decided to simplify things?" The kitchen was very quiet. My mother set down her spoon. She looked at Garrett. She said, in the slow, careful way her speech had become since the stroke, each word placed deliberately. "I always knew where she was. That was all. 3 words. But the room felt completely different after them. Garrett and I talked for 2 hours that morning. Not comfortably. Not cleanly. But honestly, more honestly than we had talked in years. He was not a villain. I want to say that clearly because this story could make him sound like one and the truth is more complicated. He was a man who had taken on more than he could carry, who had made himself indispensable in a way that had gradually become about control, who had made a decision that was wrong and had not been able to find his way back from it. He apologized. To me. And then, which mattered more, to our mother. She listened. She nodded. She said, again in that careful, deliberate way, "Don't do it again." For words. He said he wouldn't. I called the care agency that afternoon and had my contact information reinstated. Correctly. With my actual location. Nashville, Tennessee. 2 hours away. Fully reachable. I stayed in Knoxville for 4 days. We fixed the porch swing chain. My mother and I. She directed and I did the actual mechanical work, which took longer than it should have because neither of us is particularly handy. When it was done, we sat on it together. No squeak. My mother seemed almost disappointed. "It had character," she said. "It did," I said. We sat there for a long time. The garden stretched out in front of us. Everything was still. My mother kept my number in a paper address book, in her nightstand drawer. In a world where everything is digital and stored in clouds and updated by whoever has administrative access, she kept a paper address book with my name and number written in her own handwriting. Because she knew. Not consciously, maybe. Not with full understanding of what Garrett had done. But somewhere in the practical wisdom of a woman who has tended the same garden for 40 years, she knew to keep something that could not be updated by anyone else. I think about that a lot. About the people who love us quietly and prepare for us carefully and find ways to reach us even when someone has tried to make us unreachable. My mother asked for me by name in the night, and a nurse followed the instruction of a 68-year-old woman pointing to a paper address book at 3 a.m. And I drove 2 hours in the dark. And when she woke up and saw me, she smiled the full, unguarded smile. That is the whole story. Everything else is just details. I call her every Sunday, sometimes twice. She always answers. Drop your city one last time. And if you have someone who would point a nurse to a paper address book at 3 a.m. just to make sure you could be found, call them today. Subscribe for new story every week. You do not want to miss what is coming next.